What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, to another episode of Seahawks Now, your home for all things daily Seahawks news, coverage, all that good stuff. Today, I want to get to know Mason Richmond. I also want to get to know Riley Mills. But first, the Seahawks over-under has been set for the season to 7.5 for 2025. After a 10-7 year, Vegas thinks we're going to get worse. Why is that? We're going to talk about that right here, right now. But first, if you like this video, if you like what you see, make sure you don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below. What do you think is going on with this over-under? Are the Seahawks being disrespected? Because I think they kind of are here, and we're going to get into that right here, right now. So yeah, the Seahawks, obviously, last year in the preseason, Vegas set the odds at 7.5. That was the over-under for the Seahawks, and they crushed it. I mean, I really do believe that if you're 2.5 wins better than your opening line, then that means you crushed your projection. They were supposed to go 7-10, maybe 8-9. They went 10-7. And I guess they missed the playoffs, but they crushed the odds. They went way over. I actually probably would have bet the under if I was a betting man last year. I didn't believe in them last year. This year, I do believe in them. Again, I don't know if I'm sold on playoffs. We'll have to see how the Rams do, the 49ers. Can the 49ers stay healthy? That's a huge part of it. If the Niners are healthy, you probably lose those games. If they aren't healthy, though, like last year, you can win those games. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it's not just a matter of the Seahawks. It's also a matter of the other teams in the league and how things play out. But 7.5 seems really low. And I get it, they lost DK Metcalf. I get it that they lost Geno Smith. But they replaced them. They brought in Cooper Kupp, right? That's a big deal. They brought in Sam Darnold, who might be better than Geno Smith. Clearly, Vegas doesn't think so. But he might be. I mean, I don't know. Why can't Sam Darnold be better than Geno Smith? The way I see it, he had a better season last year. More touchdowns, less picks, better passer rating. Like, am I insane for thinking that we may actually have a better quarterback situation than we did last year? And not only do we have a better quarterback situation, whoa, what is going on here? Not only do we have a better quarterback situation, but we have, I think, a comparable receiver situation. Look, losing Tyler Lockett, is that the end of the world? No, it's not. It's not the end of the world. He was a veteran who was struggling last year. He was on the struggle bus. And we replaced DK Metcalf with Cooper Kupp. We also upgraded at tight end in the draft, Elijah Arroyo. We upgraded our offensive line. And, every team upgrades in the draft. So that's not to say that, like, yeah, man, we got so much better and all these other teams didn't. Every team upgrades at some position in the draft. But I think we had a really good draft. I think we had a really nice draft. We found probably 4 starters. So, yeah, we had a good draft. And it just feels like after you win 10 games, I don't think the difference from Geno to Darnold and from Metcalf to Kupp, I don't think that difference makes us go from 10 to 7. I just don't think that's a 3-win difference. Maybe you lose one more, maybe 9-8, maybe 8-9. But I think that the possibility of us going 7-10 seems really low. And I do think that this is kind of disrespectful to the season that the Seattle Seahawks had last year, to expect them to get so much worse despite making, really, they downgraded at receiver. I'll admit that. But quarterback, I don't think that was a downgrade. I think that was a lateral move, which could have been an upgrade. We'll see if it was an upgrade when it's all said and done. But yeah, this just feels like a very disrespectful projection from Las Vegas. I hope the Seahawks crush this. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was, I would take the over this time around. I think worst case scenario, I still think they can be an 8-9 team. Even if they miss the playoffs, I don't think they're going to lose 10 games. I just don't see that happening. So I'm taking the over all day. All right, let's meet Riley Mills. Let's get to know some of the Seahawks later round picks of this draft. Because personally, I don't know very much about Riley Mills. I really don't. He comes out of Notre Dame. He's 23 years old. Played in the national championship game. He's a defensive tackle. He comes from Lake Bluff, Illinois. 6'5", 291 pounds, 32-inch arms, 9 7/8-inch hands. His prospect grade was 6.12. NFL.com says he's a good backup with potential to develop into a starter. His athleticism score ranked 10th among defensive tackles. His production score ranked 11th. His total score was 11th. So he was ranked as the 11th best defensive tackle in the draft. He spent his whole career with Notre Dame, so kind of a rarity in that sense. 10 games with 1 start during COVID in 2020. He was a backup in 2021. Then in 2022, he started 9 games, played in all 13. 2023, he started all 13 games. And then in 2024, he again started all 13 games. Last year, he went for 37 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, and 7.5 sacks. And I was wrong. He actually did not play in the college football playoffs. He was hurt. So he missed their last 3 playoff games with a knee injury. His brother Jackson, also a football player. Lance Zierlein projected him to be a round 6 selection, so the Seahawks took him in round 5, a little bit higher than we thought. Lance Zierlein writes that Mills has the size, strength, and demeanor of a 3-4 defensive end. He's aggressive and physical in phone booth fistfights, but plays off blocks and tackles the gaps around him. He's not much of a knee bender, so anchoring firm will get a lot of tougher as a pro. He lacks explosive, twitchy movements as a rusher, but makes good use of heavy hands to carve open edges and get into the pocket. He's a better picker than twister, and can bull rush unsuspecting guards. Mills could become a 3-down rotational piece provided there are no lingering issues from the knee injury he suffered during the college football playoff. His weaknesses: he needs to feel and attack down blocks more consistently. Long guards can extend and widen his edge. He allows his pad level to rise during the rep. Average first step and closing bursts in his rush, and his rush becomes upright, making him easier to redirect. So he does have some weaknesses, but they do believe that he can be a pretty solid prospect. They think that he has a lot of potential, but they don't obviously believe that he's right away going to be a starter. He's not a year 1 starter. He's going to be a backup. He's going to come in and he'll get some rotational minutes. He was drafted though high 5th round, projected 6th round. So the Seahawks clearly liked him more than Lance Zierlein did, which is obvious. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but the Seahawks in the past have shown a pretty good intuition when it comes to drafting defensive guys, so I'm okay with that there. All right, let's get to know 7th round pick, guard Mason Richman. We've already talked about the other 2 7th round picks, obviously Damian Martinez, as well as your receiver Ricky White out of UNLV. Let's talk about Mason Richman. Mason Richman comes out of Iowa. He's an offensive tackle, prospect grade 5.67. He's a candidate for bottom of the roster or practice squad. He comes from Leawood, Kansas, 6'5", 307 pounds. Seahawks took him late in the 7th round. Lance Zierlein did not project that he would be drafted. He writes, Richman was a starting tackle at Iowa, but he might need to move inside to guard because of his lack of length. He will need to add mass and more power to prepare for battles against NFL defensive linemen. He's capable as a move blocker, and he's technically sound, but he might have trouble redirecting or neutralizing opponents at a satisfactory clip. His strengths: he started 52 games, including 43 in a row. He was able to get off the ball and hit his lateral landmarks as a zone blocker, and his sound technique should ease his transition to the pros. Weaknesses: he is below average length, could be an issue against pro defenders, requires better body control to land squarely on the move, and he could struggle to press rushers on his edges as an NFL guard. So, that's where we're getting in Mason Richman. Not a guy that is necessarily going to make much of an impact at all. Lance Zierlein clearly doesn't think so. And again, the Seahawks, this is where I would say the Seahawks in the past, when they have gone with linemen who they thought were better than the consensus, normally that hasn't worked out for them, right? The Seahawks have kind of struggled drafting linemen. They've kind of struggled to identify good offensive linemen. I hope that that's not the case here. I hope Mason Richman does turn into at least a solid backup who can fill in when guys get hurt. However, I just don't see it happening with him right now based on what I just read, based off of hearing that, yeah, he doesn't really look like an NFL talent, below average length, struggles to press rushers on his edges, doesn't have the body control. He did start a lot of games for Iowa. He has a lot of experience, but I just don't necessarily see him ever getting to that level where he's going to be a starting caliber guard. And the Seahawks, like I said, they haven't really earned my goodwill to believe that they know how to identify diamonds in the rough, specifically when it comes to the O-line. For defense, they're great at finding those diamonds in the rough. For O-line, they're not. They're just not. With that all being said, though, guys, that's going to wrap this video up for today. Make sure you hit that like button down below. Comment down below who was your favorite pick of the draft. I still want to hear it. And as always, guys, until next time, go Seahawks. See you tomorrow.